Hey you guys, it's your girl April. So I just wanted to make a quick video to show you how I go about just doing a quick assessment on the properties that I plan on making a deal on and leveraging that deal to get as close to my offer as possible. And just making sure that the odds are more in my favor than against me. So let's just say I was looking at this property in Houston, Texas. So other than the pictures, right, because that's definitely something everyone wants to look at. And when I look at pictures, I like to see a lot more pictures of the inside of the home. So when I only see one or none or very few, I question why. But one of the things that I use as leverage is square footage. People enjoy being comfortable, so that means living in bigger homes and that sort of thing. The other thing I look at is how long a property has been on the market, being listed. And even though this says 88 days, it could possibly be on the market for even longer. So we'll look at the other apps that I have as well. And then I just kind of want to look at all the statistics and get as much information as possible. I like to know whether or not the unit is being occupied or if it's vacant. If it's vacant, I use that as another way to leverage the offer more in my favor. So basically bringing the price down if necessary. I like to look at schools to make sure that especially when it comes to the elementary schools, that there's at least fives or higher, because people, of course, want all their children to be safe, but you'll notice people are more particular about their younger children than their teen or, middle school age children, preteen, basically. I don't really worry too much about the years built. If it's a multifamily, but if it's a single family, you may want to consider buying a home that's from the 80s and above, because those homes usually don't have asbestos, and from like the 70s and below you have to worry about asbestos. But unless you are tearing stuff down, you really don't have to worry about it, and neither do the tenants. I like to use, let's see, that's my baby. But I like to use Trulia and Zillow as well. And so Zillow, I mean not Zillow, Trulia, I like to use that to look at the crime rate and just make sure that it's in a green area. And this one's fairly nice. If I wasn't able to look at the schools on realtor.com, I'd look at it through Trulia, just to make sure that there's like at least one at 5 school, like a school with a 5 or above. And then I like to look at the surrounding area for shops and eateries and make sure that there's those commonly frequented places such as H-E-B, Walmart, Starbucks. There's a shopping mall close by, because that's things that tenants are going to want to have accessible to them. The other thing that I like to just confirm through Trulia is the amount of time that the property has been on the market. And as you can see here, it says 370, which is way longer than 88 days. So now I'm thinking this property, the owner wants to really sell, so that puts even more leverage in your favor. So when you make your offer, most likely they're going to accept your very first offer versus, really doing the whole back and forth thing. The other thing I like to use for leverage is the CMA, which I get the unofficial from Zillow, and my realtor hates me using Zillow, but it's accessible to me because I'm not a realtor. But as you can see here, it says that Zillow would probably rate this at 288, and it's being priced at 279. But I don't really pay too much attention to that. As long as when I buy it, there's at least $10,000 in equity, I'm usually pretty happy with that. But I go off of the CMA to see how much of a range homes that look similar to mine are selling for. So let's see, comparable market analysis. So from Zillow, I get a range, and I would probably say an offer can range anywhere from 230 to about 280, basically, on the more higher end, closer to what Zillow was rating it at. But for me, with this property, there's one that's pretty similar to it, and it's a little bit bigger, so it's 265 that sold. So I'd probably make an offer about 260 to 265-ish range. And then the other thing that I like to do is look at the street view, just to kind of see how it looks. I want to make sure that the area looks fairly decent. If it didn't, then I usually would use that as leverage to have the price reduced even more. But as you can see here, it's really residential, nice, homey looking, pretty safe looking, huge backyard for, tenants with kids, a dog. So that's definitely going to be something they'd be interested in. And we, of course, want our tenants to live in our properties. So the only thing that I'm not liking about this property is the fact that it doesn't have enough pictures for me. But that's basically how I go about developing the leverage. So again, it's going to be that square footage, the amount of time that it's been on the market, whether or not there's good schools around it, whether or not the area is safe for our tenants and their loved ones. And for me, I like pictures. So when I don't see enough pictures on the inside, I question what's going on. But then that's why you get an inspection to make sure you know what you're walking into. And you get an appraisal to verify that, if you're buying a home with equity, there really is equity. It's being appraised with that equity. But just know that just because you don't have the money, doesn't necessarily mean that you can't make the deal. If you're creative in your construction of that deal, then there's money out there. You just have to know where to find it, where to look. And usually it's not the bank. It's usually going to be a private money lender that'd be willing to give you more of a break than a bank would, especially if you don't have good credit or, you're starting out, that sort of thing. But I hope you guys